What's up, everybody? Welcome to DFS by the Numbers. These are my full card breakdown and predictions for UFC Vegas 19, Curtis Blaydes versus Derek Lewis, in what looks to be a pretty solid card. I mean, we're in Vegas, we're in the small cage. I feel like there's going to be a lot of finishes. I think there's like three or four heavyweight fights as well, and we have a 15-fight card, so hopefully everything stays intact. I know we're in Vegas, we've been losing a lot of fights lately, but 15-fight card should be a fun Saturday, should be a long Saturday, which is always fun. And yeah, ready to make some money as well. So, yeah, I wanted to get this breakdown out earlier, getting it out on a Thursday morning. But Monday night, I had some bad chicken, came down with the food poisoning. I was out all Tuesday, was puking all day Tuesday, was sleeping all day Tuesday. I was trying to watch tape, kept falling asleep. And yeah, the food poisoning got me good. I mean, I had COVID earlier in the year, and the food poisoning got me worse than the COVID did. So finally recovered. Had a good day Wednesday. Was able to watch tape all day Wednesday. So finally ready for this card. And you'd think, like, with the 15-fight card, there'd be a lot of great spots for betting. And, I mean, not really. I think there's a lot of close fights. I do have 2 bets so far, looking to add a couple more, but not much out there. So coming off of a really tough card last week, went 7-3 on the picks. The 3 that I got wrong was the Viana fight. I got the Barber Grasso fight wrong, and then I got the Rodolfo Vieira and Anthony Hernandez fight wrong. Man, I got a lot of crap for that, but overall, pretty good with the picks. Could be definitely better. Needed Kamaru Usman to win in round 4 or round 5 or get a decision for a winning night. The dude won in round 3, so just very unfortunate there. It just shows how good Kamaru Usman was. I mean, that jab was disgusting there. So I'm definitely looking to bounce back for this card. And yeah, I just want to do some shout-outs. I had this contest last week. Shout out to Jeffrey for the significant strike contest where we added up Kamaru Usman versus Gilbert Burns combined significant strikes. He guessed 128. It was 128 on the dot. Congratulations there. I was able to contact him and get him those winnings. And then shout out to Tyler for the DraftKings contest. Got first place out of about 150 people. Was able to contact him and get him his winnings as well. So going to be doing some more contests for the next pay-per-view, which would be UFC 259, which is absolutely insane pay-per-view. So make sure you guys tune in for that. But yeah, before we get started, as always, if you can leave a like on the video, helps out a ton. One small like goes a long way. I really do put a lot of time and effort into these videos, and seeing the like count go up really does help. And also subscribe if you have not yet. Trying to reach that 10,000 subscriber goal. I think we're like 300 away, so hopefully hit that by UFC 259 as well. All right, with all that out of the way, let's break down this 15-fight card. There's going to be timestamps in the description. I know it's probably going to be a long video because of so many fights, but it is what it is. And yeah, let's get into it. Oh, and just want to remind you guys to tune into the live stream, which will be 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time, as always, on Friday. We're going to be covering the bets, the weigh-ins, DraftKings, final thoughts, all that good stuff. Usually get a pretty good show out on those Fridays, so thank you guys for that. All right, so first fight of the night, Sergey Spivak versus Jared Vanderaa. We have Spivak. He is 26 years old, 6'3", 78-inch reach, 11-2, and 3-2 in his last 5 fights. Jared Vanderaa, he is 20 years old, 6'4", 80-inch reach, 11-4, and 4-1 in his last 2 fights. Taking a look at the odds, Sergey Spivak opened up minus 245. He is currently sitting at minus 245. Jared Vanderaa opened up plus 185. He is currently sitting at plus 205. So yeah, this is one of the very last fights I taped. Talking about Vanderaa a little bit, the dude's really slow. I think Spivak's going to have a massive speed advantage. His striking looked pretty good in his last fight against Carlos Felipe. Was able to land a lot of significant strikes. Ended up dominating him in the 3rd round. The one thing I will say about Vanderaa is if he can get on top, like, this dude's ground and pound is legit. Pretty high level grappler as well, from what I can see, and I don't know, but on the feet, it's just going to be Spivak all day. I mean, Vanderaa is somebody that doesn't really have cardio. I've seen him plenty of fights where after the 1st round, he was huffing and puffing, not the best shape. Spivak can go a clean 15 minutes, and Spivak's just going to be outlanding him more than likely. I don't see Vanderaa knocking him out or anything. Honestly, I could see this fight going to decision. I know it's heavyweights, but I really could see this going to decision unless either guy gets on top. That's where it's going to be dangerous for either guy. But I don't really think Vanderaa could take down Spivak. Spivak has shown some pretty solid takedown defense and some pretty solid wrestling himself. I think if anything, it's going to be Spivak going out there and getting takedowns, and at that point, I think he can do some damage. But Spivak's best bet probably is just keeping the standing, outpointing Vanderaa for 15 minutes. I think he can do it pretty easily. Vanderaa, like, no striking defense, really slow. And yeah, I like Spivak here. What I don't like, though, is the line. I mean, it's heavyweight. Either guy can land a big shot, but yeah, minus 245. It could be a little bit wide, but I do expect Spivak to get it done. The path to victory for Vieira would be getting on top of Spivak. I don't really see that happening, so give me Sergey Spivak. I'm going to actually say by decision, but yeah, definitely staying away from the minus 245 there. All right, next we have Draco Rodriguez versus Aman Zahabi. Zahabi, he is 33 years old, 5'8", 68-inch reach, 7-2 and 3-2 in his last 5 fights. Rodriguez, he is 24 years old, going to be the younger fighter by about 9 years. 5'8", 69.5-inch reach, 7-1 and 4-1 in his last 5 fights. Taking a look at the odds here, Zahabi is plus 155, open up plus 175. Rodriguez minus 175, open up minus 225. So some money is coming in on the Aman Zahabi side, and I definitely agree with it. I think this is going to be a close fight, and this is like the very last fight I watched tape on, so kind of fresh in my mind here. And what I saw in Rodriguez's fights, and I watched like 5 or 6 of them, I didn't see much striking, which I wanted to see what this guy's striking's like, but in a lot of his fights, most of his fights, he's trying to out-grapple his opponents, out-wrestle his opponents. I've seen him taken down a lot. He was against Tony Gravely, and I know Tony Gravely's a fantastic wrestler, great prospect, but he was taken down like literally like 10 times, controlled for 24.5 minutes until Gravely was able to finish him in those last couple seconds in that 5th round. And it's just not a great look. I wanted to see this guy strike. I don't know if he can out-grapple a guy like Zahabi. Zahabi is a black belt, decent grappler himself. If his path to victory is going to be out-grappling Zahabi, I just don't see it, and especially don't see it at minus 175. But the thing with Zahabi just has not been looking great. In his UFC debut, came in, he looked decent. He came in against Vieira, looked decent, won a unanimous decision. He came out, started really, really fast. Same thing with Hawes. Ricardo Hawes came out starting fast, really went after it. He really went after it in his first 2 fights in the UFC, and then lost by a really nice spinning back elbow by Ricardo Hawes there. And then in his next fight against Vince Morales, and what makes this fight so tough to call for me. In that Morales fight, it looked like he was so timid. Like the knockout of Hawes really did something to the guy. Like this is somebody that was going after it in a lot of his fights, but kind of stood back, only landed 26 significant strikes against Vince Morales, a fight that he really should have won. So I don't know what to think. I think that if he comes out here and fights the same game plan as he did as Vince Morales, goes out there and doesn't throw anything, obviously he's going to lose, but if he comes in here with the mindset of going after it like he did in the Hawes fight, even though he got knocked out, coming in here like he did in the Vieira fight, just going after it, just throwing more, being more active, I do think he has a really good shot to win this fight. Maybe he can get takedowns himself. Like I said, I've seen Rodriguez taken down a decent amount of times. So as far as the ceilings of these guys, Zahabi is somebody that is 33 years old. I don't think he has a high ceiling whatsoever. Rodriguez is going to have the higher ceiling here. But at this point, I think this is a very winnable fight for Zahabi. So for that reason, I'm actually going to take the underdog here in Zahabi. I know there's a lot of love out there for Draco Rodriguez. It's just I haven't seen enough of the striking as I'd want to. And if his game plans to out-grapple Zahabi, maybe he does, but at minus 175, I think this fight's going to be a lot closer than the line indicates for sure. So I'm going to go with the dog in Zahabi to win by decision. All right, next we have Jamal Emmers versus Chaz Skelly. Jamal Emmers is 31 years old, 5'10", 74-inch reach, going to have a 1-inch reach disadvantage and about a half an inch of reach advantage. He has 18-5 and 4-1 in his last 5 fights. Chaz Kelly, he is 35 years old, 5'11", 73.5-inch reach, 18-3 and 3-2 in his last 5 fights. So Chaz Kelly coming off of a decent layoff here, coming off of some injuries, I believe. Taking a look at the line, we have Chaz Kelly opened up as a plus 145 dog, is currently at plus 195. And Jamal Emmers opened up as a minus 175 favorite, is currently minus 235. So a lot of money is coming in on the Emmers side. And I can see why. I think this is a really good matchup for Jamal Emmers. I do want to get into the stats a little bit. As far as the striking goes, Emmers is somebody that has landed a lot of significant strikes per minute and is so far in the UFC. 5.75 significant strikes per minute with a 52% accuracy compared to Chaz Kelly, very low volume, 2.2 significant strikes landed with only a 40% accuracy. I think that Jamal Emmers is going to have a massive striking advantage. And then, of course, Emmers absorbs 4.65 with a 54% striking defense compared to Chaz Kelly absorbing 3.35 with a 48% striking defense. So it's one of those things where Chaz Kelly is absorbing more than he's giving out, which is not a great sign. As far as the wrestling grappling goes, Emmers so far in the UFC has landed 2.9 takedowns per 50 minutes with a 53% takedown accuracy. He's somebody that has a wrestling background, very good wrestler, and so far in the 3-fight sample, we have 100% takedown defense for Emmers. Chaz Kelly, decent wrestler himself, averaging 1.71 takedowns per 15 minutes with a 34% takedown accuracy and only a 33% takedown defense. So in 23 fights, Jamal Emmers has a 56% finish rate, 39% by knockout, 17% by submission, compared to Chaz Kelly's 73% finish rate, 56 by submission. I mean, the dude's very dangerous on the mat. Jamal Emmers has been knocked out twice. He's been submitted once. Chaz Kelly has been knocked out once, and he's lost by decision twice. So, yeah, I think this is a good matchup for Emmers. I think he's going to be the much better striker on the feet. It's really not going to be close. I do have some concerns, especially early, if Chaz Kelly's able to get the fight down to the mat. But Emmers has shown some pretty good takedown defense, decent grappler himself. Obviously, Skelly's going to have an advantage on the mat. It's just on the feet, there's such a big discrepancy that you really got to favor Jamal Emmers here. And outside of like a first-round submission for Skelly, I really see Jamal Emmers pretty much dominating the majority of this fight. And yeah, Skelly's live. I mean, he has a ton of submissions on his record. We've seen Emmers submitted a while ago. But I think the path to victory for Emmers is much more clear than Skelly possibly getting a first-round submission, which I think that's kind of a bit of a stretch there. But that is his path to victory. He's somebody that's always live, somebody that's always dangerous. But, coming off of the layoff, what is he, 35 years old, definitely towards the end of his career, taking a lot of damage as well. I got to go with the younger guy in Jamal Emmers, but as far as a minus 245, maybe it's a decent parlay piece, but just got to keep in mind how dangerous Skelly is, especially early. So give me Jamal Emmers to stuff the takedowns, keep it on the feet, win a decision, maybe knock out Skelly, but I'm going to take the decision there for Jamal Emmers. Next, we have the people's main event, the fight we've all been waiting for, Casey ONeil versus Shanna Dobson. ONeil is 23 years old, 5'6", 5-0. And obviously 5-0 in her last 5 fights. Shanna Dobson, she is 31 years old, 5'6", 69-inch reach, 4-4, and 2-3 in her last 5 fights. Taking a look at the odds here, we have Casey ONeil minus 150, opened up minus 240. Goodness. And then Shanna Dobson opened up plus 180. She is plus 130. So some money is pouring in on Shanna Dobson. I can see why. She got a really big upset in her last fight against Maria Agapova. I went back and watched that fight. Man, I mean, Agapova pulled a Rodolfo Vieira out there. I mean, she went out there, she was dancing before the fight was even started. She went out there, tried to get the early finish. She completely gassed out towards the end of the first round. When it came to the second round, she was completely gassed out. Shanna Dobson went out there and got the finish, and it was kind of cool. I mean, I bet the under 1.5 in that fight, expecting Agapova to get the early finish. But, I was completely happy with Shanna Dobson getting that early finish in the second round, cashing the under 1.5 bet. But as far as this fight goes, there are some stats I want to point out. So Shanna Dobson, she is someone that literally cannot defend a takedown. She has a 0% takedown defense thus far in the UFC. That means every time that somebody's tried to take her down, they were successful in doing so. I remember Sabina Mazo, somebody that's not a wrestler at all. I mean, she's a striker. She went out there and took down Shanna Dobson 4 times, controlled her for the majority of the fight, and it's just a bad look. And as far as this goes, Casey ONeil, I mean, I'm not impressed at all. Not at all. Has fought absolutely nobody, but this is just such a good stylistic matchup for her that I gotta go with Casey ONeil here. What she's good at is, her wrestling, really good grappling as well. Of course, like I said, it's against low-level opponents, but Shanna Dobson's out here with a 0% takedown defense. And I will say that Casey ONeil, what I was looking for, like, how was her cardio? And her cardio checks out for me. Her wrestling definitely checks out. Shanna Dobson, definitely has an advantage on the feet, but I do see Casey ONeil taking this fight down to the mat, having a lot of top control. Don't necessarily see her submitting Dobson or nothing like that, but I'm going to take Casey ONeil. Definitely a fight I wouldn't really bet on. Like, this is about as low level as you can get. Shanna Dobson 4-4, like, that's insane. Casey ONeil only 5-0 there, so definitely a low level, definitely staying away. But if I was to bet a side, it would probably be the minus 150 on the Casey ONeil, just because she has a glaring path to victory of getting the takedowns. If she wants to test her stand-up against Dobson, she probably loses, but the smart thing would definitely be to go out there and get takedowns on Dobson. So give me Casey ONeil. Actually, kind of looking forward to this fight, in all honesty. I think I want to see Casey ONeil. I want to see her go out there and implement the game plan of getting the takedowns. I think it's a glaring weakness in the game of Shanna Dobson. And we saw Agapova take down Dobson, almost get her out of there, but Dobson was able to survive up until Agapova gassed out. I don't see ONeil gassing out. I see ONeil winning a probably 30-27 decision there. All right, yeah, I'm really looking forward to this fight. This fight is probably one of the most exciting fights on the card, honestly, and, you know, not much name value. I mean, a lot of people probably don't know these guys. We have Rafael Alves versus Pat Sabatini. Alves, he is 30 years old, 5'8", 68-inch reach, 19-9, 5-0 in his last 5 fights. Pat Sabatini, he is 30 years old, 5'9", 13-3, and 4-1 in his last 5 fights. That one loss came due to an injury. I remember watching that fight. The dude like broke his arm. It was disgusting. But other than that, I believe he has 2 decision losses. One was a split. One I believe was a unanimous there. But he's never been finished, never been knocked out, never been submitted. Only lost due to that injury there. So as far as the line goes, we have, if I can find it, Alves is -185, opened up -215. Pat Sabatini is +160, opened up +170. So a little bit of money coming in on the Pat Sabatini side. And yeah, I like this guy, Pat Sabatini. I really like him. I mean, really good wrestling, really good pressure, relentless pressure, decent takedowns, and the dude's ground game is legit. I mean, I believe he's a black belt. Has a ton of submissions on his record as well. Has finished 77% of his wins by submission. Like, this dude's ground game is legit. And the thing with Rafael Alves in this fight, he's going to have a pretty big size advantage. Like, this dude is built. This dude's built. It seems like he only has like 1 round of cardio, but he tends to, you know, carry a lot of his power into the later rounds, carries some submissions into the later rounds as well. So although he looks very tired, he seems to still look okay out there. But Pat Sabatini is going to have the cardio advantage here. He's going to be the fresher guy into the later rounds. And Alves is a very dangerous fighter. Has finished 74% of his wins, 37% by knockout, 37% by submission, and I don't know. Pat Sabatini, looks like he has a really good chin. I don't see Alves submitting Pat Sabatini, and I kind of like the dog here. I think this is a close fight. The thing about Alves is he's been finished in all of his losses, all 9 losses, 6 losses by submission. I mean, right off the bat, like, what is Pat Sabatini really good at? He's good at submission. So I think that's a really good path to victory there. If Sabatini can get this fight down to the mat, the thing is, can he get it down to the mat? I don't know. I think Alves, like I said, is going to be the bigger guy, but Sabatini has showed some good takedowns. I have seen Alves taken down, you know, recently actually. Have seen him, you know, held against the cage. I think Sabatini can implement that as well. And I think Alves, to win, he's probably going to have to get a finish here. I mean, probably have to get a knockout. Like I said, I don't see him submitting Sabatini. So I think there's more paths to victory for Sabatini here. I mean, survive that first round, take over. I think he's a really good grinder. Grind out Alves. I think he can win a decision. I think if this hits to the mat, I think Sabatini's live for a submission. He could be like the 7th person to submit Alves here. So I'm in a fight I honestly think should be lined like 50-50. I'm gonna take the dog here in Sabatini. I really like what this guy has. I like his skill set. You know, the wrestling, the cardio, the relentlessness, the submission game. I like him. So give me Pat Sabatini, but Alves is dangerous. But overall, I'm really looking forward to see this fight. So I'm going to take Pat Sabatini. I'm going to say submission. I'm going to say he's going to be the 7th person to submit Alves. But ultimately, this is going to be a really fun fight. Really looking forward to it. All right, next we have Julian Erosa versus Nate Landwehr. So Nate Landwehr, he is 32 years old, 5'9", 70.5-inch reach, 14-3, and 4-1 in his last 5 fights. Julian Erosa, he is 31 years old, 6'1", 74.5-inch reach, 24-8, and 2-3 in his last 5 fights. Taking a look at the odds here, Nate Landwehr is opened up +100. He's now -115. Really slight favorite. Erosa opened up -130, actually, currently -105. So some money is coming in on the Landwehr side. And yeah, like, this is one of those 50-50 fights I was talking about. We have a lot of them on this card. This is one of them. It's, you know, do you want the relentlessness, the pressure of Landwehr, the durability of Landwehr? I know he got knocked out by Herbert Burns, but, you know, the dude's durable. I believe he's only been knocked out 1 time. Compared to Erosa, somebody that is, you know, definitely on the chinny side. He's been knocked out 4 times. 4 times. 4 out of his 8 losses have come by knockout. And Landwehr, he's not, you know, the greatest power puncher, but he does land hard. Does have a decent amount of knockouts on his record. It's finished 59% of his fights by knockout. I will say that I think Erosa is the better fighter. I don't like how hittable Landwehr is. So far in Landwehr's fights, I think there's like 2 of them in the UFC. He has absorbed 7.22 compared to only landing 6.89. So he is absorbing more than he's giving out. But I'm going to go with the toughness of Landwehr here. I'm going to go with the chin of Landwehr. I think he has a decent chin. I cannot say the same thing for Erosa. And what I like about Landwehr is he's going to be coming forward. the whole time he's going to initiate a war, and Rosa has no problem, getting into a war as well. Rosa plenty of times has gotten into these wars, and he's got caught more than once. So I'm going to take Landwehr to win. Not necessarily something I'd bet. He's going to be at a 4-inch reach advantage. He's going to be at a little bit of a height disadvantage as well. But I do think he's going to be the more durable fight in a war. I got to go with the more durable fighter here. So give me Landwehr to win by knockout. And yeah, this could be one of the more exciting fights on the card just due to the fact of, how exciting Landwehr is. But yeah, should be a close fight up until the fight ends by knockout, hopefully. All right, Eddie Wineland versus John Castaneda. Another one of those 50-50 fights I'm talking about, where Castaneda is 29 years old, 5'7", 69-inch reach, 17-5 and 2-3 in his last 5 fights. Eddie Wineland, 36 years old, 5'7", 69-inch reach, 24-14 and 2-3 in his last 5 fights. Taking a look at the odds here, John Castaneda opened up plus 140, underdog currently at minus 120. Eddie Wineland opened up as a minus 170 favorite, currently plus 100 here. And like I said, it's a tough fight. I mean, as far as skill goes, I think Wineland at this point of his career is the more skilled fighter. I'm not impressed with John Castaneda whatsoever. I do notice that in a lot of Castaneda fights, he's going out there getting takedowns, working that ground game. I don't know if that's going to be here against Eddie Wineland, who, one thing he does really good is he has really good takedown defense, 86% takedown defense, which I do think is going to play dividends in this fight. As far as the striking goes, Wineland kind of reckless a little bit. He does come forward with his hands down, trying to land that knockout punch. And what I will say is, Wineland, when he's winning lately, it's been by knockout. I remember Gregory Popov came in there against Popov. I went back and watched that fight, and he looked a lot better than I remembered Wineland. I mean, he didn't look as old as I really thought he did. And I was kind of impressed with the performance he put on against Popov. Was able to finish him, I think, in the second round there. And I don't know, I think Castaneda has no problem engaging in a war here. It's just the chin of Wineland is what's really setting me off here, and I'm assuming that's why a lot of people are on the Castaneda side. I'm assuming that's why a lot of people are betting Castaneda because of the durability issues of Wineland. Wineland has been knocked out 4 times in his career in 36 fights, which isn't awful, but we still have concerns about his chin. 36 years old and got knocked out really bad the last fight against Sean O'Malley. So I get why a lot of people are on the Castaneda side. I'm just not impressed with the guy. I think Wineland's the better fighter. Castaneda, before he came into the UFC, he was like he lost 2 fights before he came to the UFC. He lost 2 fights and then won 1 and then got into the UFC. So losing against some really low level competition. Wineland has been fighting obviously the way better competition in his career. He's been fighting for a while as well. I think he's been fighting since I want to say like 2004. So he has the more experience. Probably going to be a war here. I don't think Castaneda is somebody that has like huge knockout power, but I'm going to go with Wineland. I don't love it, but I'm going to take the underdog here. Just the more experienced guy, but the chin is definitely a concern for Wineland. But do I think Castaneda is the really a guy that can put him out? I don't think so, but give me Wineland, but it is a really close fight there. All right. By the way, Wineland by knockout. All right, next we have a really exciting fight, Drakkar Klose versus Luis Pena. Klose is 32 years old, 5'9", 70-inch reach. He's going to be at a 5-inch reach disadvantage, can't do math, 6-inch height disadvantage. Klose is 11-2 and 3-2 in his last 5 fights. Pena is 27 years old, 6'3", 75-inch reach, 8-3 and 3-2 in his last 5 fights. Taking a look at the odds, if I can find them, Drakkar Klose opened up minus 225, currently at minus 170. And Luis Pena opened up plus 175, currently at plus 150. And yeah, I feel like this can be close. At first, I was kind of leaning on the Pena side. But man, this dude gets taken down a lot. I think that's going to be the game plan for Klose. On the feet, I feel like it could be pretty close. I mean, Pena is going to be landing the more flashier strikes, the more better-looking strikes, but Klose is going to be bringing the volume. I really don't like how low volume Luis Pena is, only landing 3.26 significant strikes per minute. He kind of does slow down a little bit as the fight goes on as well. Klose is not. Klose can go a clean 15 minutes. And I think the wrestling advantage for Klose is going to be probably the biggest factor in this fight. What I will say is when Pena gets taken down, he's really good at threatening with submissions. Saw it a ton in the Matt Frevola fight. He threatened with a lot of submissions, was able to get reversals and sweeps with those submissions, which was really nice to see. But Klose, I mean, he's a really hard dude to finish. I know he got knocked out in his last fight against Beneil Dariush, but that was the only time he's been finished in his career. He's been fighting the much better level of competition, and I like Klose here, but I do expect this fight to be a little bit closer than the line indicates, and that's probably why we see some money coming in on the Pena side, plus 150 now. But I'm going to take Klose to edge out a really close fight here. Probably wouldn't bet it, but I think the takedowns, maybe he holds up Pena against the cage a little bit. I think is going to be the stronger fighter and more volume as well. I don't see either guy getting a finish here. Probably goes to decision. I'm going to say Klose edges out a really close decision there. So give me Drakkar Klose to win the fight by decision. All right, next we have Danny Chavez versus Jared Gordon. Chavez, he is 33 years old, 5'8", 67-inch reach. 11-3 and 4-1 in his last 5 fights. Jared Gordon, 32 years old, 5'9", 68-inch reach, 16-4, 2-3 in his last 5 fights. As far as the odds go, let's see here if I can find it. I can't find it. There it is. So Danny Chavez opened up as a plus 120 dog. It's currently at minus 145. Jared Gordon minus 150. Opened up and currently at plus 125. So a lot of money is coming in on the Danny Chavez side. And, I mean, it's a tough fight to call. I mean, there's not much tape on Danny Chavez. I mean, going and watching tape, I was able to watch the last fight he had against TJ Brown, which I'll talk about in a little bit. But prior to that, like, there's nothing out there. This guy, I remember watching a fight from, like, 5 or 6 years ago where he was taken down, which wasn't a good look. But, again, that was, like, 5 or 6 years ago. So don't know how much you can take from that. Obviously he's been improving since, 5-6 years ago, but just there's like so limited tape on this guy. But yeah, talking about the last fight with TJ Brown, I will say this. I thought TJ Brown came in with one of the worst game plans I've ever seen. I mean, TJ Brown is somebody that, I expected to go out there and wrestle with Chavez, take him down, but he didn't even try to take Chavez down until like the late second round after, Chavez beat him up for a good round and a half. Chavez had very good leg kicks in that fight. He hurt Brown a couple times as well. So I really didn't get to see Chavez's takedown defense tested as much as I'd like. I didn't really get as many questions answered as I liked in that fight. So this fight is definitely going to answer a lot of questions for me. Definitely staying away from it from a betting perspective. What I will say is Chavez looks sharp. I mean, kind of lower volume in that Brown fight, but he looks sharp, very accurate, and it looked like he had some power as well, but he only has 2 knockout wins on his record, winning 27% of his wins by knockout, 0% by submission, 27% finish rate overall. And the thing with Jared Gordon is, 20 fights, and he has 4 losses, and all of those 4 losses, he's been knocked out. So the chin isn't there for Jared Gordon. I think if Chavez is able to keep the standing, which I don't know. Like I said, I wanted to see his takedown defense tested a little bit more, but it looked decent. But Brown did look a little bit tired when he started going for takedowns. But Jared Gordon's going to come out here. He's going to try to get takedowns. He's going to try to get this down to the mat. I want to see a little bit of Chavez's grappling in this fight as well. But I gotta go with Chavez here due to the durability issues of Jared Gordon. I think on the feet it's going to be very dangerous for him at all times. I really like the leg kicks of Chavez. I like that this is in the small cage for Chavez as well. And I don't know, I see him knocking out Jared Gordon. I mean, Jared Gordon's somebody that his chin's not all that there, but this is definitely a fight I'd stay away from. If anything, maybe look at the Danny Chavez KO prop. But yeah, just have some question marks still with this Chavez guy. I wanted to see a little bit more tape. There wasn't much tape out there, but I'm going to take Danny Chavez to win by knockout. I'm really looking forward to see this fight as well. I think it's going to be very exciting. All right, next we have Tom Aspinall versus Andre Arlovski. And Aspinall, he is 27 years old, 6'5", 78-inch reach, 9-2, and 5-0 in his last 5 fights. Andre Arlovski, he is 42 years old, 6'3", 77-inch reach, 30-19, and 3-2 in his last 5 fights. So taking a look at the odds here, we have Aspinall as a pretty decent favorite. Open at minus 300, currently at minus 245. Andre is plus 240, opened up plus 240, and is currently at plus 205. So some money is coming in on Andre there. And I don't know. I mean, Tom Aspinall, he looks legit. He has some power, really good boxing. I guess he's a black belt in BJJ as well. Haven't got to see that as much as I'd like, but nice to see that he does have that in his back pocket. Andre Arlovski, I mean, the story with him is the dude's been knocked out so many times. He's been knocked out 11 times in, what, 12, 19 losses. 11 times in 19 losses he's been knocked out. But as of late, we haven't seen him get knocked out as much. I mean, he got knocked out by Rosenstruck a couple fights ago. But against Philippe Lins, he was able to go out there and outpoint him. Against Tanner Boser, Boser was able to go out there and outland him 2-1. But the judges saw it a different way. I really thought Boser won that fight. I mean, he landed like more than double the strikes of Andrei Arlovski there. But a bunch of leg kicks, I get it. But I don't know. I really thought that Boser won that fight. So I think a lot of people are going to be picking Arlovski because I think there's a lot of recency bias, man. I mean, Arlovski is somebody that is 42 years old. He's definitely towards the end of his career. And yes, he's changed up his fighting style to what it once was. But Aspinall, to win this fight, all you have to do is literally throw volume. Throw volume because Arlovski has not been throwing much of it as of late. I know he landed a lot in the Ben Rothwell fight, but then again, that's Ben Rothwell. And I think Aspinall is going to go out there and honestly knock out Andrei Arlovski here. So I do want to get into a little bit of the record of Andrei Arlovski and like who has this guy beat as of late. And one thing I want to note is, I think that Aspinall should really make this a firefight like he's been being. I don't think he should come out here like a Philippe Lins. I don't think he should come out here like a Tanner Boser and be conservative. I think he should come out here and make it a firefight because Andrei Arlovski has no knockout wins in his last 17 fights. And he's a heavyweight. This is a heavyweight division, so crazy to think about there. But here are the wins that Arlovski has had as of late. Tanner Boser, which I really thought he lost that fight, outlanded 2-1. Philippe Lins, and we've seen that Philippe Lins is a fraud. Ben Rothwell, who is towards the end of his career. Stefan Struve, not a great win. Junior Albini, not a good win. And those are his wins in the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 fights. So I don't know. I like the spot for Aspinall a lot. I'm going to wait and see where the line goes. Hopefully some more money comes in on Andre just because he's been winning his last couple fights. But I do think that Aspinall, I think he has more upside than a Tanner Boser. I think he's much better than a Philippe Lins, like a ton better than a Philippe Lins. And I think he has a high ceiling in the UFC as well. But, Arlovski, he's been making fights close, but I expect Aspinall to come out here and, not be conservative, throw a ton of strikes and throw with a lot of power as well. So give me Tom Aspinall to win by first round knockout, and I'll definitely be looking to bet it if the line does get a little bit better there, which I do expect it to as the week goes on. I feel like a lot of people are going to be on Andre here. All right, we have Nasruddin Imavov versus Phil Hawes. Phil Hawes is 32 years old, 6 foot, 77.5-inch reach, 9-2 and 5-0 in his last 5 fights. Nasruddin Imavov, he is 24 years old, 6'3", 75.5-inch reach, 9-2 and 5-0 in his last 5 fights. Yeah, so this fight was supposed to happen about a month ago. Phil Hawes pulled out to an injury that, didn't really hear what the injury was, but pulled out nonetheless. I want to say it was on fight day as well, which really sucked, but I did have a bet on Imavov, but I had him bet, I want to say like plus 140, plus 150. And now the line has, closed in a ton ever since reopening. So with the new line, Phil Hawes opened up minus 115, currently at minus 120. Imavov opened up at minus 115, currently plus 100. I like the bet a lot better at plus 140, plus 150. I'm not betting it this time around because I do think it's a 50-50 fight. I do think the line is right where it's at. And I think it's 50-50 just because of how dangerous Phil Hawes is in the first round. I mean, and all of his wins have been in the first round outside of, I think, 2 fights, went to the second round. He got early finishes there. But when he's winning very early. The problem with Phil Hawes is, questionable gas tank. I know the last time we've seen him really slow down was a couple fights ago, a couple of years ago. I'm assuming he has made some adjustments, but from what I've seen, he does slow down a lot if he does not get that finish, basically because he puts, a lot into everything he throws. He's a finisher. He wants to get the fight done, and he wants to get the fight done early. Imavov is going to have a cardio advantage. I do like what I see from Imavov in the striking as well. His nickname is the Russian Sniper, and for a good reason. The dude's very accurate. But yeah, it's a dangerous fight. It's a dangerous fight for him. So I'm going to take Imavov just because I think he has more paths to victory, surviving that first round. But going back and rewatching tape, kind of noticed how hittable Imavov is. I mean, this is somebody that I don't like what I see from the striking defense. But if he does survive that first round, he's going to have multiple paths to victory. I think he can go out there and get takedowns later in the fight. I think if takedowns come early, it's going to be from the Hawes side. Hawes has very good wrestling, just doesn't have the gas tank to really do it. But I'm going to take Imavov to get a late round finish or like a third round finish after Hawes definitely slows down. I think Imavov is going to take over, but that first round is going to be dangerous. Don't really want to lay money on it. The under is set at 1.5. Don't really like that as well, but I'm going to take Nasruddin Imavov to win by a third-round knockout. But this fight should be very exciting, and Hawes is legit. I wouldn't be shocked if he went out there and finished Imavov early, but I think Imavov does have more paths to victory here. All right, next we have should be a very fun fight for as long as it lasts. We have Chris Daukaus versus Alexei Olynyk. Daukaus is 31 years old, 6'3", 76-inch reach, 10-3, and 4-1 in his last 5 fights. Alexei Olynyk is 43 years old, 6'2", 80-inch reach, 59, 14, and 7. Which is what, like over 70 fights there. So he's been in the game for a long time. I mean, the dude's 43 years old, 2-3 in his last 5 fights. Taking a look at the odds here, we have Daukaus opened up as a -205 favorite, currently at -185. Olynyk opened up +165, is currently at +160. So a little bit of money coming in on the Olynyk side. And yeah, I mean, I'll tell you one thing. One thing I do like in this fight is the under. I think both guys have path to victories to end this very early. Going back and watching some tape on Olynyk, I mean, there's a big sample size there, but went back and watched like the last 5, 6, 7 fights, and the dude's very opportunistic. I mean, he doesn't have the best wrestling, he doesn't have the best striking, to say the least. Very weird with the striking. He throws these big overhooks. It's ugly to say the least, but he gets it. He gets it done. I mean, the dude has 59 wins in his career, and the majority of them by submission. A 78% submission rate, 92% finish rate overall by Olynyk. Chris Daukaus, on the other hand, a lot of first-round finishes on this record. Somebody that has slowed down in the past if it does get outside the first round, but we saw in his last fight he came in. He looked to be in fantastic shape, lost a lot of weight, and was checking his Instagram. I mean, the dude looks in pretty good shape. I think he's taken this seriously. He's a part-time cop, I believe, unless he ended up quitting that job and went full UFC, but I don't know. But he is a part-time cop for as much as I know, and it looks like he's taken this a lot more serious than he has in the past. So, as far as the gas tanks go and all that, like I said, Daukaus has slowed down. If the fight does get extended, maybe his gas tank's a little bit better, but he's somebody that does want to finish the fight early. As far as Olynyk's gas tank goes, one of the worst gas tanks in the UFC, not worse than somebody like Rodolfo Vieira, but a pretty bad one to say the least. If he does not get the finish in the first round, I don't see him winning the fight. We saw in his last fight against Derek Lewis, the dude was so tired after that first round. He's somebody that lays on the mat. In between rounds. I don't get it. Maybe that helps him, but it's just something weird to see. We don't see that, pretty much at all. But as far as this goes, I think Daukaus should come out with the game plan he had in his last fight against Nascimento. I think he should go out there and try to get a 60-second win. I don't think he should let Olynyk close up the distance, grapple him, take him down, pull guard, none of that. I don't think he should let Olynyk have the opportunity to do any of that. I think Daukaus should go out there and try to knock him out in the first 60 seconds, and that's kind of what I see here. And if he does do that, I mean, Olynyk's somebody that has been knocked out a ton of times. He's been knocked out 8 times out of 14 losses. So the chin is not all that there. And Daukaus has shown some really good speed. He's going to be the much faster fighter in this fight. It's not even going to be close. He's going to be throwing the more volume. He's going to, throw the harder shots as well. And I think if he does connect on Olynyk is going to shell up. He's going to get hurt, and I think Daukaus is going to finish him. But what I will say, though, is if Olynyk does, clinch up with him, take it to the mat, whether he does pull guard. I've seen Olynyk finish submissions with other guys in mount. I've seen Olynyk finish submissions with guys on top of him. I mean, he's very opportunistic, and although Daukaus is a black belt, Olynyk's has almost 50 more fights than Olynyk there, or than Daukaus there, so I would definitely avoid the ground game with Olynyk. Daukaus has been submitted before. He was submitted in 2015. Kind of a weird submission. Was not able to get the best look at it because of a bad camera angle, but I think it was an Americana. So not the best look there, but I do see this fight ending very early. I think a good look could be the under 1.5, because if Olynyk wins, it's not going to be after that 1.5 mark, and I think Daukaus has a really good chance to finish this in the first round, if not, the next couple minutes of the second round. So give me Chris Daukaus to win by an early first-round finish, but, Alexei Olynyk is somebody you can never really count out, but 43 years old, he's definitely getting up there. I think he's about to turn 44 as well. Let's see. Don't see his birthday, but yeah, I think he's about to turn 44, so in about 4.5 months, I think. So, yeah, give me Chris Daukaus to win by first-round knockout. All right, next we have a very exciting fight, and all of Darrick Minner's fights are very exciting. And Minner is 30 years old, 5'7", 71-inch reach, 25-11, and 3-2 in his last 5 fights. Charles Rosa, he is 34 years old, 5'9", 69-inch reach, 13-4, and 2-3 in his last 5 fights. Taking a look at the odds here, Charles Rosa opened up -185, currently sitting at -185. Darrick Minner opened up +155, currently sitting at +160. And yeah, I think this is going to be exciting for as long as it lasts. Minner is, one of those, like we like to call, kill or be killed fighters. He wants to go on in there and get the early submission. If he does not get the early submission, he tires out, he gasses out bad, and gets submitted himself. I mean, the dude's been submitted 8 times in his career out of 11 losses, 8 of them by submission in 36 fights. And Charles Rosa, what I will say about him is, a good grappler. I believe he's a BJJ black belt, was able to survive a full 3 rounds where Bryce Mitchell completely dominated him in that fight. Was able to go out there and submit Bermudez, which is a very nice win as well. And Minner, if he's going to win, it's going to be in the very first round. I don't know if he's going to submit a guy like Charles Rosa, who has never been submitted in his 17-fight career, but it's just a dangerous fight. I know for sure I'm not laying like the -180 or whatever Rosa is on him because of how dangerous Minner is. But I kind of like Rosa in this fight. I like Rosa to survive. He was able to survive, like I said, against Bryce Mitchell, a really high-level grappler. Was able to survive against Bermudez, a high-level grappler. But you can never count out Minner. Minner is the definition of a live dog. This dude is live no matter what, no matter who he faces. I remember in the Grant Dawson fight, he got Dawson in some very, very bad spots. I thought he was about to finish the fight like 3 different times. And I feel like Rosa is going to be put in some bad spots as well. It's just, can he fight out of them? I do expect him to, and I do expect him to take over as the fight goes on and probably get a finish himself. So I'm going to take Charles Rosa to win by submission. But if you're looking for a live dog, Minner's not a bad look there, especially at like +150 or whatever he's at. And, probably bet him inside the distance as well. Minner with it set now 92% finish rate, and Charles Rosa with an 85% finish rate. I think the under is a good look. The majority of the Minner fights are, end inside the distance. So I think the under, that fight doesn't go to decision, is a good look. But I'm going to take Charles Rosa to survive the early storm, and it's going to be a storm indeed, but I think he's going to win by submission. I'm going to say 3rd round. Really fun fight. Another fun fight. Like, this fight card is filled with some really good fights here, especially in the small cage in Vegas. I feel like it's going to be a good card overall. So now we are on to the 14th fight of the night. We have Ketlen Vieira versus Yana Kaninskaya. And Vieira, she is 29 years old, 5'8", 68-inch reach, 11-1, and 4-1 in her last 5 fights. Kaninskaya, she is 31 years old, 5'6", 68.5-inch reach, 13-5, and 3-2 in her last 5 fights. Taking a look at some of the stats here, what I don't like about Vieira is, kind of how low volume she is. Only lands 3.10 significant strikes per minute with a 36% accuracy. She does absorb more than she gives out, absorbing 3.98. And she does have a 56% striking defense. As far as Kaninskaya goes, she does land the more volume, landing 4.49 significant strikes per minute with a 54% accuracy, only absorbing 3.17 with a 51% striking defense. So, not really liking the numbers on the Vieira side, but she is going to have a power advantage in this fight. I do think she's the better striker, but like I said, the volume isn't really where I'd like it to be. As far as the wrestling, grappling stats go, and I think this is where this fight's going to be won and lost. Vieira, very good wrestler. 2.02 takedowns per 50 minutes with a 52% accuracy, 92% takedown defense for Vieira. And as far as Kaninskaya, 2.04 takedowns on average, 53% takedown accuracy. And this is a big one here, 33% takedown defense for Kaninskaya. So I do think this fight is going to be won and lost on the mat. Vieira has her black belt in BJJ, very good grappler, very good wrestler, very good takedowns, very good trips. I do expect it to hit the mat at some point. And what I noticed, when Vieira does get takedowns, she can, continue the full round on top. Really good top control. I don't necessarily see her getting a submission in this fight. I mean, it's possible. Kaninskaya has been submitted twice before. But I'm going to say Vieira just, takes down Kaninskaya, lays on top, kind of a lay and pray. She doesn't really land much ground and pound. But I'm going to say she wins at least 2 out of 3 rounds just by doing that. I guess the only concern is Kaninskaya. We've seen it a ton. She holds her opponents against the cage, makes the fight very boring, but I don't really see her doing that to Vieira. So really, I favor Vieira pretty much everywhere in this fight, everywhere it goes, especially on the mat. I feel like the takedowns are going to be big here. What I don't like is Vieira does slow down as the fight goes on. We saw her Vieira lose the third round to Sierra Eubanks. I saw her slow down in the third round before, but I do think at that point, Vieira probably wins the first two. I think the round 3 could be a little sketchy, but Kaninskaya slows down as well. So I'm going to take Vieira here. Tempted by submission. I'm really tempted by submission, but I'm going to say decision in what should be an okay fight. Co-main event worthy, I don't know. I think there's a lot of different fights that could be co-main event worthy over this, but it should be a decent fight. Vieira's a pretty decent prospect, so give me Ketlen Vieira to win by decision. Didn't touch on the odds, but the odds are kind of crazy. Vieira opened up -285, currently sitting up -265. And Kaninskaya opened up +225, currently +225. So, yeah, one of the bigger favorites on the card. Probably wouldn't bet it myself. The line does seem wide, but she does have a really glaring path to victory with the takedown. So, give me Vieira to win by decision. All right, next we have the main event, the fight we've all been waiting for. And just want to remind you guys to tune into the live stream, 7 o'clock Eastern Time on Friday. Going to be talking DraftKings, the final weigh-ins, what we saw from weigh-ins, bets, final thoughts, all that stuff as well. And then I'll be doing a betting breakdown on Saturday. You guys can follow me on Twitter, DFS_numbers, Instagram, DFS by the numbers. I'll be getting all my bets out there on fight day as well. And yeah, so getting into this fight, we have Curtis Blaydes. He's going to be the younger fighter by 7 years. He is 6'4", 80-inch reach, 14-2 and 4-1 in his last 5 fights. Derek Lewis, 36 years old, 6'3", 79-inch reach, 24-7 and 3-2 in his last 5 fights. Taking a look at the odds, Curtis Blaydes is a really big favorite. Opened up -285, currently at -430. Derek Lewis +225, currently at +345. So yeah, probably the biggest mover on this card in Curtis Blaydes, going into a lot of parlays. A lot of people playing Curtis Blaydes, and I can't really blame you. I mean, we'll get into the numbers a little bit. Curtis Blaydes lands 3.53 significant strikes per minute with a 53% accuracy, only absorbing 1.73, which is fantastic, with a 57% striking defense. Derek Lewis, one of the more low-volume guys in the UFC, only landing 2.64 with a 50% accuracy, absorbing 2.09 with a 44% striking defense. As far as the wrestling grappling goes, and as far as, you guys pretty much know, this is probably where the fight's going to be won and lost. Curtis Blaydes averages a massive 7 takedowns per 15 minutes with a 55% takedown accuracy, and Derek Lewis hits a 52% takedown defense. Derek Lewis has, probably one of the worst takedown defenses in the heavyweight division. He gets taken down pretty much all the time. So just on paper, it seems like a really good matchup for Curtis Blaydes here. So in 16 fights, Curtis Blaydes does have a 71% finish rate, 64% by knockout, 7% by submission, does have 1 submission on his record. Derek Lewis, 79% finish rate by knockout, 4% by submission, for an 83% finish rate overall. He is a finisher. Curtis Blaydes has been knocked out twice. Once, I want to say, was a doctor stoppage against Francis Ngannou, and the other one was a knockout against Francis Ngannou. So both by Francis Ngannou. And I'll tell you, I went back and watched those fights. Both of those were fights where he was not knocked out cold, which was a good sign. Ngannou hurt him really bad, but he wasn't knocked out cold. As soon as the ref stopped the fight, he was protesting right away. So kind of a good sign there. As far as his chin goes, I mean, he has a pretty good chin. No shame in losing to Francis Ngannou twice. I mean, the dude's a beast. So Derek Lewis has lost by knockout 5 times, has lost by submission once, and has lost by some decision once as well. The thing with Derek Lewis, I mean, the dude's low volume. He gets taken down a lot. When he's winning, a lot of the times he's losing up until he finds that knockout shot. He's somebody that's just going to sit back and, throw nothing all fight. And then he goes on these really big flurries and then, finds a knockout shot. Or when these guys, his opponents kind of gas out later in the fight, he goes out there and gets a late finish. And I'm not impressed with Derek Lewis. I know he has the most knockouts in the heavyweight division. It's just his fighting style is so... It's weird. I mean, he's entertaining, but he's entertaining for these really short spurts. And, Curtis Blaydes, a lot of people don't like the guy. A lot of people think he's really boring. People were so mad again in his fight against Volkov, just taking him down, laying praying for a good 25 minutes on Volkov. Kind of really gassed out towards the end of that fight as well. And, who can blame him? I mean, the dude went out there and got like 14 takedowns on him. But as far as this fight goes, Curtis Blaydes... Clear advantage. I mean, take down Lewis. Don't even mess around in the stand-up. I think even in the stand-up, Blaydes is going to be throwing more volume, but of course you got to not watch out for that knockout power from Lewis. I think the takedowns are going to be coming, and I think they're going to be coming early. I think they're going to be coming easy, And I just think it's a bad matchup for Lewis. Like, this is an awful matchup for Lewis. So I'm going to take Curtis Blaydes here to take down Lewis at will. I would not be surprised if he even, got 10 plus takedowns in this fight. Lewis, I will say one thing, he has a really good get-up game. I mean, a really weird get-up game, but it's good. It works. And for the heavyweight division, a lot of times he gets people into mount, lets them get into really dominant positions. He kind of bucks them off of them, throws them off with he's a really big guy, very powerful. Or other times he kind of gets on his hands and knees, exposing his neck, which a lot of guys can't take advantage of, but and just kind of stands up. But that's going to exert a lot of energy, and I think he's going to be doing that a lot as well. I do think Blaydes has the much better cardio in this fight, and I see Blaydes finishing him. I'm going to say in either round 3, 4, or 5 later in the fight. Don't necessarily see an early finish, but I don't know. Maybe Blaydes can get him out of there early. As far as, the path to victory for Lewis, it would have to be either landing something very early, or I would say if Blaydes slows down, but I don't see that happening. I think, if anything, Lewis is going to be the one that's dead tired from this wrestling heavy pace that Blaydes is going to push. So I'm going to take Blaydes here pretty confidently. I would say a good parlay piece, but just by looking at the card, there aren't really many parlay pieces. I mean, Vieira, I think, wins, but don't really like the line. Jamal Emmers could be a good parlay piece, but again, I think Chaz Kelly's always dangerous, so don't know if I'll be parlaying Curtis Blaydes, but I might be looking at the inside the distance prop. I think it's like minus 175. I might go pretty heavy on that, honestly. Derek Lewis has been knocked out 5 times, and I don't think he has the cardio to withstand a really heavy wrestling pace of a Curtis Blaydes, and I think he's going to be on his back for the majority of the fight. And I'm going to say Blaydes wins by 4th round TKO here. And I'm pretty confident. I mean, Lewis has such a small path to victory. Could he pull it off? Sure, he can. We've seen Blaydes knocked out before, but just such a small path to victory. So I get the minus 420 on Blaydes. I don't think it's too wide or anything. Of course, you can't always count out a guy like Derek Lewis, somebody that has that power, but just such a horrible matchup for Derek Lewis on paper there. So yeah, guys, that's the breakdown. It went a little bit long, but yeah, we have a 15-fight card there. So I want to go over my picks real quick. We have Curtis Blaydes, Ketlen Vieira, Charles Rosa, Chris Daukaus, Nasruddin Imavov, Tom Aspinall, Danny Chavez, Jakar Klose, Eddie Wineland, Nate Landwehr, Pat Sabatini, Casey O'Neill, Jamal Emers, Eamon Zahabi, Sergey Spivak. So I think 4 or 5 dogs this week. So yeah, a couple live dogs. Really looking forward for this. I do have 2 bets so far. If you want to check out the Patreon below, almost 300 members on there. You'll get my early bets. You'll get access to my cheat sheet with all the stats for all the fighters, my betting breakdown videos, my article as well. Kind of running like a day behind due to being very, very sick. But yeah, finally getting after it. I might pull the trigger on some bets sometime tonight. Really liking the Blaydes inside the distance, stuff like that. Other than that, kind of a tough card from betting, but I do think we'll find some spots, hopefully win some money on Saturday. Make sure you guys tune into the Friday live stream, 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. Follow the Twitter, follow the Instagram, DFS_numbers on Twitter, DFS by the numbers on Instagram. And if you have any questions, you can hit my DMs on Instagram, Twitter. I'm usually pretty good at getting back to you guys if you want to talk some fights, talk some bets, all that good stuff. And yeah, that's about it. Good luck on Saturday, 15-fight card. Hopefully all of them stay intact. And yeah, let's win some money on Saturday, and good luck, guys.